Hi everyone, this is Robert Gephardt, and this is just a brief video to give you some do's and don'ts. Well, actually it's 5 tips before visiting China. This is for first-time visitors mostly, but it can apply to anyone. Just for a bit of background, I lived in China for about a year, and I was lucky enough to live there, and I was lucky enough to notice certain things that are different there from pretty much the rest of the world. It's a country full of contradictions, and it can be a wonderful country to visit, but it can also give you some headaches if you aren't prepared. So let me get right on it. Out of these 5 tips, only the first one is something you have to do, but the rest will definitely make your stay more enjoyable. So the first tip is get a visa. If you have an American or Canadian passport, now you can get a 10-year visa for China. If you have an EU passport or any other passport, as of this writing, it's still a 1-year visa, or it can vary, although usually you can get multiple entries for up to 60 days at a time. So you'll have to check if you don't have an American or Canadian, but either way, chances are you do need a visa. So remember that you need to get one ahead of time, and that is valid for all of China, not counting Hong Kong, Macau, or Taiwan. These usually either don't require visas, or else they'll have something else independently, which you'll have to check on your own. So first step, get a visa. Second step, get VPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. So remember that in China, certain websites are blocked. These include Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google sites, which includes Gmail, Google Maps, Google Docs, etc. Dropbox is also blocked, and quite a few others. So if you want, or if you need to access any of these websites, you're going to need a VPN. Now, this might sound a bit daunting, but actually it's pretty easy to get. A quick Google search or a Bing search, if you are currently in China, will turn up quite a few options. I would say, well, I used to use Astril, which was highly recommended. There's ZenMate, which is an add-on for Chrome, but it also changes because things come and go, and also the government might crack down on one or the other. So just do a search and something will pop up. And if you're staying in China for the long term, by the way, you will need some extra stuff to add on to that. But if you're just going to visit, then just get a VPN, and that'll suffice. You can get it, by the way, for your computer and your phone and tablet or anything else, usually the same account. Number 3, buy a face mask. Now, this is mostly for peace of mind. Chances are, while you're in China, that the pollution will not be very bad on most days. Well, Beijing is a possible exception, but still, it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared. I would recommend going to any pharmacy and asking for a face mask with a filter. You can get filters that filter up to, I think, 98% of pollutants. But anyway, just see what they have and buy that just so you have one, so you're safe when you're there. But that brings me to step number 4, which is to bookmark Shanghai air pollution. Now, I will give a link for this down below, but this gives you your daily pollution weather, if you will. You're literally checking it like the weather, so you know whether you need to wear a mask or not. It'll give you the pollution levels for that day, for whichever city you happen to be in at the time. So it's very useful. And don't worry, this website is not blocked, at least as of this video. And which then brings me to the 5th and final point, to relax and enjoy yourself. All of these pointers might seem a bit daunting, but actually China is a great place. And so I only say these so you can be prepared. Once you have all this in place, you know, you're going to have a great trip. The only other thing I'd like to point out is that sometimes you're going to hear stories about locals trying to rip off tourists. This can be taxi cab drivers or people in markets or anything. Chances are, as a tourist, you're going to end up paying something more than locals here or there or wherever. You know, that's a tourist tax. You have this in many countries, you know, that as a tourist you end up paying a bit more. What I would keep in mind is that, frankly, the low amount won't make too much difference for you, chances are, and it might be worth the story or the lesson you learn from it. And also that the money you spend probably means a lot more to the person receiving it than you. So I wouldn't let these little things bother you, and so just try to relax, be prepared for the 4 other points, and you should have a really great trip. And you can then really enjoy this country, which I have to say, even if you're well-traveled, really is unique in the world. So thank you, that's it. And by the way, I do have other websites, which I'll link down below, of where I go more into detail about accessing different websites with or without VPN. And so if you're more interested in that, you can check that out. But otherwise, I hope this was good for a quick primer. And if you have anything to add or any other suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For more videos and interviews, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook.
And if you or anyone you know is making a difference out there in Asia or doing anything noteworthy or taking risks, please let us know. We'd definitely like to interview them.